Hello, everyone. This is Waldorf,
And this is Statler.
and today we're looking at the news release that came out a couple days back.
I actually missed it. Issue 6, 2.0 Basic Rule Book and WGD Background Rules and Spoilers.
Issue 6 of what?
That's a good question.
Issue 6 of the 2.0.
I think they're telling you that this is the
the
6th issue that they have.
okay. They've only have 6 issues. I've got a lot
Exactly.
more than that.
You're going to have some more if you read this.
Oh, just talking about how dwarves need improvement. Is that what you're telling me, or is it the Undying Dynasties?
I think it's Ogre Kingdoms.
Okay, good. All right. So, blah, 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 condensed format, a few words, blah, blah, blah.
So basically, this is telling you some. It's just a view of some things that are coming up.
Correct.
I guess we'll find out in the late summer, early fall.
First thing they're talking about is a tournament support team, which is looking for help. So, if you've got some time you can dedicate to helping these guys out, get in touch with them and let them know.
Yes.
These guys do a lot of work. It's a ton of work to put together all the information from tournaments. So, anyway, if you have a chance, do what you can for them.
And there's some people I see that do a lot of posting on some of the on the forums. They spend a lot of time here. That they do a lot of number crunching. They do a lot of looking at tournament results that aren't part of the team. They probably could use that time more directed, and I'm sure the Ninth Age team would appreciate it.
Yep. And it's your chance to contribute back.
Exactly.
Next up, we have Sir MC and Archeron. Anyway, whatever. However you want to go with that. Who are the
Archeron?
the head of playtesting and the assistant head of playtesting. I know Sir MC. He's the kind of the captain of the Green Dragon club that's on the Mid-Atlantic. Oh, we've adopted them into the Mid-Atlantic. Of America. They're up and around the Philadelphia area.
They're north of the Mason-Dixon line. I don't know.
They are. I don't know why we accept them, but anyway. Basically, they're chugging ahead with the playtesting. They're giving you an offer to start playtesting. They're looking for guys who can play about 4 games a month and looking at different skills, different armies. Again, contact him if you've got time.
There you go.
It's a good way to get a cheap way to get a preview.
It is.
All right.
But I mean, there's a lot of people that do a lot of Theory Hammer stuff on the boards. I mean, we do it ourselves in our videos and stuff.
Yes.
And there's a place for that. But I think the Ninth Age team, while they see that stuff, I think they put a lot more importance on actual playtesting results because they want to see how things interact in a larger scheme.
I think, in a way, though, the Theory Hammer has a big place as well.
Well, I think Theory Hammer is very important because most problems are math problems. You can figure them out.
And when you're talking about playtesting, well, then you've got, now this is based on this did this, but is that based on the terrain? Was it based on the player's skill? Was it based on a lucky die roll? There's so much.
I think playtesting does a few things. It's more that you get it out there more because you get the people who think about the killer combos that don't always come up.
We've seen that tons of times,
especially when it's units supporting units and things of that nature. So I think that there's a value. There's
definitely a value to playtesting. And things have to be playtested.
In the playtest, and some things look okay until you realize, in a unit of 40, it's a lot different than it was a unit of 10. So yeah.
And again, you kind of hinted at, you find that guy who, when it gets out to playtester, you find that playtester who will push things to a limit.
You find the breakers.
Look for where it's broken.
Yeah, identify those people. And I said, a lot of that you can do with Math Hammer. And I said, in the end of the day, it's probabilities and you can do the math.
Right.
What the playtest, and you can do the standard deviation, you can do those things. And that should tell you a lot. Now, it is hard because there's so many filters in the game.
There is.
That you don't always pick up on some of the things, and you can't possibly... No one has the time. I should say can't possibly. You can possibly do it. No one has the time to do, all of the infinite combinations. So, there's a value. I don't have a problem with their value in playtesting.
I agree.
But I also think that some things are pretty obvious in the Theory Hammer. You don't need to playtest it and wait for the results.
You don't want me to go over my list again?
Yeah.
All right. And a peek at the 2.0 rule changes. Okay. Weapon skill is going to be split into two, offensive and defensive, and the changes to the hit table. This is going to, allow them some flexibility in designing units, of course. Simple by splitting the weapon skill. You can do a unit that's hard to hit, or a unit that's, hits hard. It hits hard, but yet is easy to hit. That type of thing.
Right. You can have defensive units. You can have offensive units.
Right. And then the weapon skill, the to hit table is going to change.
Yeah. Let's talk about, before we get to the to hit table. Let's talk about the difference in weapon skills.
Okay.
I got to be honest. I'm not. I can see potential here. It's neither here nor there to me as far as problems in the game.
Right.
But I guess it'll allow them potentially. We'll see if they do away with lightning reflexes, and if they do away with, parry or distracting. We'll
that's
find
true.
out. So if it's a way to get rid of special rules, I think that's a wonderful thing, because I think there's probably a few too many special rules. So I don't have a problem in that context if it adds flavor. Now, I suspect that most armies are going to have the same weapon and offensive and defensive.
Well, they've mentioned
We'll see.
that the armies, only the two new armies, the demons and the warriors of the dark gods, are going to take advantage of this at first.
Right.
And the others won't get rolled in until they do their army builds.
And I'm sure in time they'll give it to the elves to get rid of
Correct.
lightning reflexes.
To phase out lightning reflexes.
Yeah, but I'd be surprised if we see it in another. But who knows? As time
Right.
goes on, it could do different things. So it has potential. It is another statistic that people. You'll see people paying more attention to their rosters, because they're going to have to remember this stuff.
Correct. At least at first, it'll take a while.
And you'll learn yours, but then, of course, if you're a tournament player like you are, knowing what your opponents have and remembering that's going to be
Correct.
So you're going to have a few surprises.
Like any
for a
other
while.
changes, it's going to
Like
slow
any
things
other
down.
change, it's going to slow things down initially, but it's not. It's not such a big deal.
No, this isn't a devastating.
Yeah.
This is not a major change to me.
I don't think it is either. I think it is that it gives them some ways to deal with some problems in a different way.
Correct. Hopefully,
So-
it'll be parry gives you +2 defensive skill or something. Something to that effect.
Yeah, if they have it at all. So
If
but we'll see.
the parry's still around, but
Yeah,
but
but
my thought on that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It makes the game different from its predecessor in another way,
Correct.
and it doesn't hurt, and it's got the potential to do really good things.
It does. So now we come to the to hit table. So let's start with what we have here is to hit. If you're familiar with, everyone's familiar with what you have now. If you're equal or worse, you hit on a 4. If the guy more than doubles you, you hit on a 5. If you're better than the other guy, you hit on a 3.
Yeah.
So it's 3, 4, 5.
So it was pretty reasonably
It
straightforward.
was reasonably straightforward. You have definitely been a proponent of the, if you're equal, it's 4. If you're better, it's 3. If you're worse, it's
It's
5.
yeah. Because I want to bring troops back into the game.
Correct.
And not make it a hero game.
So along those lines, they've gone the opposite direction
Yeah.
from what you would do.
Yeah. Because I know everything.
Exactly, and I don't know why they're not just. Why don't they just
Yeah.
give you the pen and paper and let you just tell them what to do?
Exactly. I'll just add it to my stack of rules that I've written and never published.
Exactly.
They never
No one
do.
ever plays, except for the 7 Years' War.
Yeah.
So now we have the offensive skill minus the defensive skill. So basically, if you're 4 or more better, you need 2 to hit. If you're 1 or more better, you need a 3.
Well, 1 to 3. It's not 1 or more. It's 1 to 3.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
yeah.
But I guess if you read it from the bottom up, it works. No, maybe. I don't know.
No, not really.
Anyway. If you're 1 or more, then you need a 3. If you're 0, if you're the same or up to 3 less, you need a 4.
Right.
If you're more than 4,
If you're 4 to
7
7
less, you need a 5.
5.
And then a -8, you need a 6.
If you're 8 less, you need a 6. Yes.
So,
That's gonna take some time for people to memorize.
right. This is a little cumbersome to me. I'm not thrilled with it, but it's what it is. So
Eventually, people get used to it.
yeah, they will. They put out, here's the old chart, hit
Right.
chart. Here's the new chart over here on the right, and here's where it makes the difference.
And this shows you the variable difference.
To me, and then I heard some people complain, and I saw some people put comments and mention, the I don't like the idea of maybe needing a 6 to hit something. Okay, what really bothers me is this section, this hitting on 2s thing. This kind of worries me.
I have a problem with both.
A weapon skill 5 monster, call it my spider, my gargantula. My weapon skill 5 gargantula, actually it's only 4, but we'll call it weapon skill 5 for the purpose of this argument. Let's say his weapon skill 5 runs up against a troop, they fail their fear test, now he's hitting on 2s.
Yeah.
I don't like things hitting on 2s. There's too much. Anyway, the only way you can beat some of these monsters is they only hit you 2/3 of the time.
Correct.
Or some big characters or whatever.
I don't like the chart. Said I'm okay with the split. I don't like the chart because to me, this is making the game even more about characters and it's pushing Hero Hammer.
Hero Hammer's on its way back.
Those are the things that the characters tend to be the ones that have the really high weapon skill.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you happen to have a character that can cause your opponent to fear test, oh my gosh, he's hitting you on 2s and you're hitting him on 6s or some big.
6 is going to be pretty unlikely from what I'm seeing. It's got to be 8 less.
Yeah, you have to be. But who's going to have those high weapon skills? It's going to be certain
characters and
certain
Scourge of Wrath
lords
or whatever,
and certain uber
at least
monster
we think,
characters.
at least at first, because they're not redoing all the weapon skills apparently.
Correct. So that the Scourge of Wrath is just just terrifying. It's already bad enough as it is. I just don't like it because to me it's that it's pushing things. Unless all of a sudden you start seeing weapon skills for all of the armies, sliding up and sliding down substantially, it just seems it's pushing it to making characters even more center, kind of like the old days of Warhammer 3rd Edition.
Correct. And and it mentions down here, spells affecting weapon skill are going to become a lot more prevalent and a lot more important. If you can push somebody to this chart, over these lines where it's the 2s.
Oh, absolutely.
That becomes really significant.
Yeah.
And I see my thought on this, I guess, is they're looking at maybe this being a way of replacing the lightning reflexes, I guess, but
that's my assumption.
But I haven't, don't know. I'm not thrilled with this chart. After playing it for a year or two, maybe I'll get used to it and think this is the best thing they've ever done. Like I said,
I just feel it pushes it into the hero realm.
Yes.
Which hero lords are hard enough to deal with for many rank and file guys from many armies.
Mm-hmm.
You quite often need your own uber lord to fight your opponent. As it is, now it's going to be even more of that.
Correct.
I guess I would agree too. There's nothing more demoralizing when you rubber land. You have your lord and you roll a couple 2s.
Right.
But when it comes to 1s, especially, hopefully they don't have these armies that still get to reroll their 1s. That makes it even worse.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, we'll see.
I'm not a fan of the chart at all.
Yeah.
Don't mind the other change. I think I can see some neat things, but
more than anything, what really concerns me about this is somewhere I think I saw somewhere that the army books, an earlier post I think that Blondebeard put out, that the original army books, all the army books weapon skills are not changing up front.
Right.
That'll just happen when their army books get done. That concerns me with what this does in the meantime to the to the balance of the game.
Oh yeah, because they're only going to have 2 army books out probably, and that they've been working on. Well, they told us about it back in October that Warriors of Dark Gods and Demon Legions were going to be the next ones. So it's going to be close to a year for those 2 army books. Right. Now it looks like they've only been working on them since January, but still, if it's going to take them that long to put out the other army books, it's going to take a couple years. So yeah, you hate to be on the bottom of that.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the bottom of that list.
Which
Aquitaine probably will be.
Although it probably works out because usually the last stuff is always the best because they learn all the lessons learned.
Yes.
So you have that window of your stuff is the best. So yeah.
Moving on, they're talking about the Warriors of the Dark Gods, kind of a preview with the army-wide special rules. They're just
And
kind
they talk about the importance of army-wide special rules providing flavor to the
army.
army.
Mm-hmm.
Funny that they missed the peasant army for Kiev, which is their better army, ironically, for most people want to be their cavalry. But so, I mean, I think a lot of people can't disagree with there. Where you have true army-wide special rules, it does give a flavor to the army. It will make each army unique. I think
Correct.
we all like. Yeah. We just don't like to see like a whole page of army-wide special rules, and we don't like to see when only like one unit in the army has that rule, and it's an army rule.
It's an army rule, and 1 or 2 units have it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but the idea of having them, yeah, that's flavor, and so yeah, the rationale's fine.
And if somebody could post what the village idiot build is, I'm
I'm
just
not,
curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is myself.
Never heard
so
that
yeah,
one.
I haven't heard that one. Yeah.
I guess I don't read enough on the Empire of
Yeah,
Sonstal boards.
I don't read that board, so I don't know.
And then it kind of talks about the background of the Warriors Dark Gods.
Yep.
So onto their special rules that they're announcing. They have the follower special rule, which models with this rule can make 2 supporting attacks. You ignore this rule if they can already do 2 supporting attacks. And the penalty for getting this is you cannot benefit from standard or additional ranks. I guess that's full ranks, additional ranks to its combat score.
Yeah.
And then they go into this example here that currently 12 warriors with halberds and standard fighting 30 heavy 5x6 heavy infantry. I guess that's Sonstal with halberds and standard bearers. The warriors win this combat by 11 by doing 10 wounds. To 5.66. Blah blah blah. So in the new rule, according to their math, it'll only do 12 points. They'll only win by 12.5, only a wound and a half. But significant, at least initially, just looking at this, is they're winning the combat by 1.5 more, but they're doing 2.5 more wounds. That's 2.5 more dead guys.
Right.
That's the effectiveness. It's not how much you win the combat by, but you're coming closer to killing them all.
And the math seems off to me because it seems like it should be 13, not 12.5.
Yeah, it seems like if you're getting 6 more attacks, you're going to hit 4 of them and wound 3, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of interpret it, so I don't know where the 2.5 wounds.
Yeah.
I could be missing something there. You
Yeah.
go with the theory hammer and math hammer and why it
we
may
must
or
be
may
missing
not
something,
work.
but it just seems like it's 13. But yeah.
Somebody's missing something. It could easily be me.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, you're only winning the combat by 1.5 more, but you're killing 2.5 more, even by this math.
Yeah.
Which kind of, anyway, it depends on how prevalent this rule is and which unit it applies to. We don't know any of these facts, so
Correct.
all we know is
Because if it's for like those Forsaken guys, that makes them much better to rank up if they get it, for example.
Correct.
Now, I have a problem currently with monstrous infantry in the game. I think it's far too powerful, just because the sheer number of attacks it can put forward
Right.
on the frontage that it occupies compared to pretty much everything else in the game, and they tend to be
Except for the really elite infantry.
yeah, and they tend to be higher strength and more they tend to be higher initiative, which is a whole other problem.
Yes, they are.
Go first too. So I don't have a problem with them giving, allowing the extra attacks for guys that have multi attacks. So they're doing it here as a special rule for specific units in this particular army. Either I mean, if they're not going to drop monstrous infantry down and bring them in line with the other stuff, then I wouldn't mind them giving just just that basic rule to everybody, just to make the elite guys, make
Even
you feel
more
like
elite.
make you feel like they're more elite, especially the
Right.
guy with the extra attacks. But so that doesn't really bug me. This seems a bit fiddly to a certain degree, but I guess people will get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah. Brings us to the Outcast special rule. Only characters with Outcast can join units with one or more models with Outcast. A character with Outcast can only join units where all models have Outcast, so only Outcast can go with Outcast. Models with Follower and without Outcast cannot receive Inspiring Presence and hold your ground from models with Outcast. So you have to think about if you give this to your general, I guess, and your BSB. A unit with more than half Outcast models with at least one full rank gains Stubborn in the first round of combat. So you could take a unit of Outcast and put a non-Outcast character in it? Can you do that?
Um,
Characters without cast can join us with one or more. Nope, you can't
Mobs
do
with
that.
followers cannot, and without ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in any case, so stubborn in the first round of combat.
That's really good.
Really good, because right now a number of the things in the WDG army is your hope is to hit them in the flank and beat them before they can turn. Because when they turn to face you, they put out so many high strength attacks.
Right.
So this basically means if they get charged in the flank, unless you can wipe them out to the man, which is probably not going to happen, thinking like once chosen, things of that nature, they're probably going to be able to turn and face with their basic morale because they're going to be stubborn and then kill you in the next round. So that makes it really hard to deal with these guys.
Could be.
Because you can't get them in the flank.
Yeah. Again, we gotta have to withhold judgment until you see who has this and how prevalent it is.
Yeah.
And they mentioned here, combined with the new rule for Demon Forged Plate,
right,
is even better because the unit gains immune to psychology, and if more than half the unit, you get to re-roll your break test.
Yeah.
So now you're stubborn with a re-rollable leadership.
Yes.
If you have both these, and they kind of mentioned that in here somewhere about that. So
right.
Demon Forged Plate has the advantage of.
Well, I mean, it's like a unit. You don't mind putting frenzy on your guys because so that they get charged in the flank.
If you have this outcast rule,
yeah,
correct. Yeah, you get charged in the flank. Okay, I'm stubborn. I'll make my check and turn around and
then beat the crap out of you.
And then just destroy them. So anyway, and a +1 leadership to bonuses. Bonus if you're in a challenge wearing this Demon Forged Plate.
Not a huge fan of that, but
it's kind of odd. We'll see.
Odd.
But they kind of mentioned earlier that the bubble leadership's going down on this army, so that would kind of
I actually wouldn't mind if they just raised the leadership on the guys
on units.
Yeah, make them 9s. Would seem if there's an army that should have that, it'd be this one.
Correct.
I think sometimes I just think change the stat instead of add a special rule.
Special rule bump a stat.
And I'd agree. This shouldn't be an army that's bubble dependent. It's what the players don't want it. So you should be able to. You got these powerful units. Just give them a bit of leadership.
And of course, they put the caveat down here that all these rules are subject to change and amendment based on playtesting and balance.
Yeah.
Based on what they see from this and what reports they get back.
When they watch these Wrath armies running around, turning, killing everything.
We'll see. And so that's about it. There's the issue 6 announcement as far as the sneak previews for the 2.0 rulebook.
So yeah, the big one is the table.
The hit table to me is the biggest one they announced on this.
And that's going to, in a lot of ways, it's going to change the game, in my opinion, more so than anything else we've seen so far.
Right.
Most of the other things we've seen so far, it's going to change things, but it's a slight little thing here or there.
And I think it's going to matter more on the high end, where the hitting the low guy, hitting on 2s is going to be more than the other end.
Yeah, well, the high end against and that cause fear. I've said that Scourge of Wrath.
Oh, it causes fear.
Exactly.
But it doesn't need to, but it does.
Yeah. So you're hitting me on 1s. I'm already going. If you ever get a chance to swing, because it's going to hitting on 2s at initiative. What the hell is it? 9 or whatever.
They're scary. Initiative 9.
So yeah. So anyway, So a little bit of a mixed bag, I guess, in our opinion.
It is.
But it's nice that they're telling us things.
It's kind of nice to see these things coming out,
Yeah.
slipping out and coming out through.
Yes, it is.
So glad to see that at least.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for listening.
Till next time.